Democratic influencer Harry Sisson is feeling the heat on social media, but is it warranted? I actually say no. We'll get to that. Republican State Delegate and Precinct Chair Sarah Fields has written a thread on social media about Sisson that went very viral yesterday. In it, she discusses Sisson being accused of luring 11 women into sending him explicit photos and lying to them by saying he had no roster, I guess, of attractive women he was talking to. Fields alleges that one of these women was a domestic abuse survivor, although, again, what the relevance of that is anyone's guess. Fields writes, a request to the reader, set political differences to the side. I believe both sides of the aisle can agree that this is unacceptable behavior from a man-child with collectively over 2 million followers.
Fields gathered footage of some of the women speaking out and summarized their sentiments.
In one instance, a woman named Carly said that Harry wooed her from the very beginning and conceded to sharing explicit photos with him. After 6 months, Carly says Harry called it off. Carly said Sisson should have made his intentions more clear since he allegedly told her she was wifey material and that he was sold on her wifey application. Carly also says she was dealing with depression after a traumatic car accident and that Harry allegedly pounced and took advantage of her sadness. Carly said, I'm fighting for accountability, not only for myself, but on behalf of everyone who believed this guy was someone he's not. Fields also mentions a woman named Sarah. Sisson allegedly told Sarah she was the only one he was talking to. Per Fields, Sarah allegedly shared explicit photos of herself as well. Other women came forward sharing similar stories. One woman named Hannah said she knew Sisson since they were young and that he is allegedly predatory and manipulative. It's just rumor mongering at this point. Go ahead, Marianne.
Fields ended her thread by writing, I do not condone the behavior of these women, but I do know what it feels like to be manipulated by a narcissist when I was younger.
Plenty of reactions on social media. Podcaster Josie Glabeck, known as the redheaded libertarian, wrote on X, wait, you're telling me that Harry Sisson is a textbook male feminist who preys on vulnerable women? No way. Media company Being Libertarian wrote on X, Harry Sisson is a bad person, but this isn't a scandal. It's the culmination of what every parent should be warning girls when they get a cell phone, don't talk to liberals. So, as you could probably tell by my editorializing as I was reading, I saw this brewing on social media and suggested we talk about it. Harry Sisson is as far from me in terms of ideology or activist behavior as one could possibly be, but I like to defend people even when I don't agree with them if I think they're being unfairly smeared. And these accusations are complete SHIT, and it is laughable to me that he talked to a couple different women, and he told that you're the one, but he was talking to some other. Wow, alert the media.
It never happened.
Let the crime, burn him at the stake, get the pitchforks and lighter fluid. It is insane that people thought this was a story. It is the biggest controversy of all time.
Then
and we're doing it as a story in order to say that it is not a story.
Yeah, it's not a
story.
This
is normal. I don't know how old it's 20-year-old or something behave like. Get over yourselves, girls. That's what I have to say. Go ahead,
There is a
Marianne.
bigger story here, though, a bigger issue anyway, and that has to do with trial by social media. And I know about this myself. When you are tried in a court of law, there are rules of due process. So anybody can say anything about you on social media. And if you're in a court of law, if you did something that conceivably was against the law, then your counsel gets to cross-examine the witness against you and so forth. When you are tried in social media, and I know all about how this works, the smears, and it's coming from someone, and it can be very, very dangerous because people can easily fall prey, even people who think, oh, I don't just listen to what I hear on the internet about somebody, but then they absolutely do. So we all have to remember that when you hear whatever it is about somebody on social media, they did this or they did that, please don't necessarily think that it's true, because there is a way to make almost anybody look bad, and
yes.
He sounds like a jerk, and being a jerk is not against the law.
Exactly, and and then we're hitting, one-sided. We're adjudicating some.
I was manipulated by a man.
A romantic relationship or entanglement. Hearing just
I don't
one
know what
side
made
of
me
the
send
story.
him those pictures.
No, that's exactly the issue. I agree with exactly what you were saying. Cancel culture on social media.
But
can be
if he
so
talks
vicious.
like he's a feminist, then that's really You know, I'm not trying to defend him as a human being. I'm just trying to point out that this is smut, actually. I don't know why we're covering it, actually.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to cover it because I like.
Because he's a liberal.
People.
That's why you wanted to.
But I'm doing that. I wanted to defend. I wanted to show that I will defend people even if I don't agree with them politically when I think they're being unfairly attacked, as he is here.
Okay.
And I think the way that social media, like you were saying, facilitates the canceling, the shaming, the smearing of people who are victims of a one-sided agenda is very pernicious. And also, and actually, this speaks to what I was talking about in my radar earlier. And this is another point I wanted to make. This is why young people, you want to know why young men are drifting to the right? It's because there is a shaming, smearing, attacking culture against young men in progressive media elite circles.
Well, hold on,
drives
because
them
I'm a woman.
to the right.
And the shaming and the smearing and the lying and the attacks towards me, I'm not a man, and it was done to me.
Well,
it's anyone who doesn't,
yes.
in my case, it was anyone who doesn't toe the line, anyone who speaks outside the boxes or colors outside the boxes. It's a real thing. It's a terrible thing, actually. It's an undemocratic
Certainly,
thing,
but
whether you're doing it from the left or doing it from the right.
But I'm talking
I'm sorry.
I was talking about a specific aspect of this phenomenon. I mean, there's a lot of think pieces being written about this. How have the Democrats lost young men? Are they hostile to young men? And this is part of it. A culture that actually has lost a little bit of power, but at the height of Me Too, from like 27 to 2022, progressives have no room or no space for young men because they're so hostile to them, and they want to unperson them and get them fired and lose them educational opportunities for having engaged or in normal, not always ideal, but normal adolescent behavior. Not like violent assault or rape or something. Obviously that has to be condemned and dealt with. But just being a kid is now like, there's a shaming of that in progressive commentary and culture that has pushed young men to the right.
It's very
And that's
important
what
to
I'm
understand that that's
and
not progressive politics, however, and that's not
No, that's the culture of, yes, that's the culture of progressive media.
There are shadow aspects of the far left, and there are shadow aspects of the far right, and neither side has a monopoly on doing people dirty, and that's very important. So there's some truth to what you're saying. There's a kind of divine masculine that's missing. That's kind of like, that's the thing about Donald Trump. One thing, he says what he wants. The problem is it's an abuse of power rather than an assumption of power. He needs to stop abusing power, but you're right, many people on the left, men particularly, need to start assuming it more and stop making people wrong even for being masculine. I do agree with you on that.
Well, as I said, this is a pretty vicious smear in my book, so I defend Harry Sisson even though I don't care for him.
Not that we like you. Be nicer to me, Harry.
Oh, I think there's a story there, but maybe we'll get that another time.
No, nothing about that kind of stuff.
Oh, well,
during the campaign.
I wasn't accusing you of sending...
He's the standard liberal Democrat who didn't seem to have much space for anything outside the we must go with Biden box. So.
It's a big Biden boy. Okay. We want to hear from you, actually, the viewer, not just on this subject, but in general. We're going to talk to you more about that. Stay with us.